This is going to be the sample answer for question number 4, which is roughly how many Hispanic or Latino students were enrolled in the 6th grade in the Tucson metro area in 2015? Since this is demographic information and demographic data, we're going to go ahead and start with data.census.org. So I'm going to click over here to the window. And while I'm skeptical that entering the information or the question into this search bar is going to work because it's very specific, I'm going to go ahead and enter a couple of key questions from our search in the search bar and see what we get. So let's go back here. So Hispanic or Latino students enrolled in 6th grade, Tucson metro area, 2015. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of copy and paste some of this information, and I'll edit it after I've done that. So copy and paste, put it in the bar, and I'm going to get rid of some of these sort of just, 6th grade. I'm going to do 6th grade enrollment. I'm going to stick Tucson metro area. And one of the things that are popping up, all right, Hispanic or Latino students, 6th grade enrollment, Tucson metro area. It's given me some suggestions of tables that I might want, but let me go ahead and kind of just get rid of some of these other things and see what we get. Metro area, 2015. All right, so it's going to say Hispanic or Latino students, 6th grade enrollment, Tucson metro area, 2015. And oddly enough, when I got rid of some of those other kinds of things, it doesn't really have didn't have any more suggestions. But let's just go ahead and click search and see what we get. So this is just giving us the percentage of the population of people who are of Hispanic or Latino descent in Tucson City, Arizona. Here is some just some demographic information and housing estimate from the year 2015 for Tucson City. And none of this is really what we want. Really want to flag something here that we're talking about the Tucson metro area. And the Tucson metro area is a lot bigger than just what we would call like the Tucson city proper. So the Tucson metro area is going to be things like Oro Valley as well, South Tucson. I guess actually South Tucson is part of Tucson city. But it'll just have like things that are sort of, not necessarily part of Tucson city limits, but just the kind of broader Tucson metro area because Tucson is like a pretty big city. And so that's actually really important to notice the distinction between the two, because if you're just talking about Tucson City, you're actually talking about a much smaller population. So we definitely want to be thinking about the Tucson metro area. And so we want to make sure that we're not getting confused and going into Tucson City information, even though it seems like it's really related. So I can tell that this is actually not getting me anything that I want. So I'm going to go back just to the census. And I realize now that since I didn't get what I wanted just entering into the default search, I'm going to have to go in and do a default, a more advanced search. Now, since I had the information in there, it's going to save some of the things that I had typed in, or it may not work like that one for you. So the first filter that I'm going to use is geography. I'm going to go ahead and kind of clear this out because I want you to see what happens if you just you click on geography. And it's going to say things like, all right, well, what kind of geography do you want? You're talking about nation, you talk about region, you talk about state, you talk about county. What are you talking about? A zip code? Are you looking for like a tract, county information, maybe a school district, right? And none of these are actually what we want. What we want to keep doing is scroll down. Metropolitan statistical area. Okay, so that sounds right because we're thinking about the Tucson metro area. And so basically what a metropolitan statistical area is for like bigger cities. It's just like combining a bunch of different zip codes and regions that are kind of an important thing. So since we're talking about a metropolitan area, we're going to go ahead and click on that. And it gives us all of these different options, like starting alphabetically. So, like Abbeville, Louisiana, Aberdeen, South Dakota. Well, none of these are really what we want. And what we really don't want to have to do is scroll down to Tucson. So we're going to go ahead and click the search button, and it will allow us to search within these metropolitan statistical areas. And I'm going to go ahead and start typing Tucson. And I want to have Tucson AZ metro area. Again, I don't want in the principal city because what I want is the whole Tucson metro area. So I'm going to add this filter, and you can tell that I've added the geographic filter, Tucson, Arizona metro area down here. So you can always see what your filters are by looking at this bottom box. Now the next filter that I want to do is I'm thinking about school enrollment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a topic. We'll just go ahead and you can kind of see. So like if you look here, I want to go ahead and we're going to clear these out. So I know that I'm looking for like school enrollment. So clearly I want to click on education. Now, one of the things that you might be a little hesitant about is that you'll notice that there's not a box here. So if I were to scroll here and it just goes to education, you know, it gives me an opportunity to click. But if I click on school enrollment, it will actually open up a different thing. And you can either do school enrollment, or then there's also, you can get information about what types of schools are in the Tucson metro area. And of course, we're thinking about 6th graders. So we're going to go ahead and think about school enrollment here. And that's as fine-grained as that we can get right here. So now, school enrollment, Tucson, Arizona metro area. Now, let's see. Go back to topics, because I need to do something else, right? Because I'm worried, I'm looking for a particular kind of demographic information. So I'm going to go to populations and people. We maybe go race and ethnicity. Do I want to do that? Hispanic or Latino? We'll go ahead and do... I'm going to go ahead and do this broader Hispanic or Latino rather than the narrower Hispanic or Latino of any race. We're just going to do this bigger one because I think it is going to be broader. So now we've added this to our search. And one of the things that I'm going to sort of note is that it may be that I'm adding too many filters. And so I may be adding filters. I may get down to the result and go, well, that didn't work. And then I have to remove some of the filters. But we're going to go and see if we can really zone in and find what we need just doing it this way. I'm going to go into years, and I'm going to click on 2015. So here we go. Here are my filters. Tucson, Arizona metro area, Hispanic or Latino, school enrollment, 2015. And we will see what kind of information we come up with. Okay, so the first table that pops up is Tucson, Arizona metro area. It's school enrollment by detailed level of school for the population 3 years and older, Hispanic or Latino. Total is about 350,000. And I can see nursery, enrolled in kindergarten, and grade 6 right here, 6,202. And then, of course, there's a margin of error here of about 1375. One of the things that I'd like to point out is that sometimes there are different kinds of tables that are almost basically identical. So it'll say school enrollment by detailed level of school for the population 3 years and over. It'll have the same title, but it may have a slightly different like number on it here. And that, right? So it's like a different kind of table. It's tracking different kinds of information. So this is the one we want. Sometimes you'll click and this one is actually a slightly different. This is the 1 year estimate. So you can kind of see it's tabulated here, like combined. So that's really not what we want. We want the first one. But suppose this had been actually identical and it had it broken out into the tables. What is the difference between an ACS 1 year estimate details and this one? You'll note, oh, this is the ACS. So there's also an ACS 3 year estimate table, though it didn't bring it up for us. And those are just different ways of taking sampling information, and it'll change in the margin of error. So it's not popping up here. And this is actually something that I don't like about the data.census.gov. I know that there's an ACS 3 year estimate, but for some reason, the US Census information prioritizes the 1 year, which actually has a larger margin of error, although it is more like a detailed snapshot. So you can see the information here, but it is kind of worth noting to know whether you're looking, like if you had really using it for different kinds of statistical purposes, you'd actually want to pay a lot more attention to whether it was a 1-year estimate or whether it was a 3-year estimate. The 3-year estimate is going to be more reliable and more tracking trends, but it's of course in some sense less of an accurate picture of the 2000 and like what's happening as a snapshot in 2015. So they're just different ways of sort of like taking like sampling data and presenting it, and it'd have different margins of error in there as well. So we can see that this is the information that we wanted, and we have found the information.